Hey, what's up, everybody? It's been a while since I've done a video, so I figured I would do a video. And actually, I have a pretty good topic, or at least I think I have a pretty good topic for this video. I want to talk a little bit about relapse prevention, particularly I don't know if anyone, if this has been expounded upon, but there's a pretty good acronym in the recovery community, or with sobriety, HALT, which stands for hunger, anger, or anxiety, loneliness, and tiredness. Those four things can be pretty substantial triggers for relapse, or at least cravings. Not necessarily relapse, but triggers for cravings, and the cravings can lead to relapse. So I don't know if it's been expounded upon, but I was kind of thinking of, I guess, my own version of HALT. Well, I guess my additions to HALT, which is in the title. But before I get to that, what I will say is just, I just want to kind of do a little, take a moment to practice some gratefulness. This has been a really great week. My sleep's been lacking. I've not gotten much sleep. I got some sleep last night, but the past few nights I've gotten only an hour or two of really broken sleep. But despite that, it's been a great week. I've made some pretty substantial gains in the gym in terms of my lifts. I have kind of redoubled my efforts to, well, I guess it's more than gratitude. I guess it's a little bit of a check-in, but I'm grateful for this. So it's technically gratitude. Just bear with me. Tell you what, we're at 2-minute mark. Skip to 5 minutes, probably around 5 minutes. If you want to just skip this and get to the BEHALTED portion. But I've redoubled my efforts to both in the gym and both at home in terms of diet. I am working on lifting heavier than I usually would. Of course, that means less repetition, but I do want to change things up. Instead of trying to, go for like 8 to 10 reps, I'm more like 6 to 8 with a little bit of higher weight. And I've actually been making some pretty good gains there. Also eating a little bit better. I still am not in the realm of cooking my own meals, like buying bulk chicken breast and, bulk brown rice, or beans or stuff like that. But instead of instead of baking like a full frozen pizza and eating the whole thing, I have been they've had lean cuisines on sale, and especially on Ibotta, there's a good cashback offer on them. Safeway had them on for $1.97 a piece. There's $1.50 cashback, limit of 5. So I did do a few rounds of that. So I stocked up on a bunch of lean cuisines. I know those aren't great, but at least it's better proportion. It's better in terms of, I guess, the macronutrients. Of course, not so indulgent or just ludicrous on the macronutrients. And then also I've gotten one thing that I've kind of skipped on doing for quite a while is not buying Greek yogurt. I'm a big fan of yogurt. I was eating other yogurt like Yoplait, because that was there's cashback offers on that, but I've changed my purchasing to Greek yogurt, and it's Chobani. It's not like the best like Greek yogurt in terms of macronutrients, but they have really good flavors. It's really edible. Also got some really good prices on that, so a little extra protein there, and I feel a lot better. Like, I just feel pretty great for this week, and I mean, like, yeah, dude, like, which is awesome. It's just cool that with my sobriety and my recovery, I could take advantage of it and work on my dream since a childhood of like just being like pretty ripped, like big fan of Dragon Ball Z, an anime. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with that, and just being like all ripped like the characters, so I've always wanted, this has been kind of a childhood dream, so I'm on my way to accomplishing it. I feel great. So we're at about the 5-minute mark, so as promised, I will be talking about kind kind of my acronym for relapse prevention. So as in the title, I've added, so instead of just HALT, those 4 letters I talked about, I've expanded it to BEHALTED. And again, I don't know if anyone has added anything to it. And you know, this won't necessarily apply to everybody, but hopefully you might find this helpful. Some people might find this helpful. For me, all of these can be pretty significant triggers. And I guess the main point in terms of relapse prevention is to be aware of your triggers, because they're going to be unavoidable, but there are ways to mitigate just by being aware. I think the best thing you can do is be aware of these factors, and you know, that way if you're like, oh man, I really want to drink, or you know, I really want to go use, you know, like run through these and be like, oh, you know, I'm hungry, and then usually you know, you eat something that helps tremendously. So for me, my BEHALTED, I guess I'll go through them and explain. I'll go through what they stand for. The B stands for boredom. I'll just say it. E is for excitement, or kind of celebratory. And then, of course, you got the HALT, the hunger, anger / anxiety, loneliness, tired. And then the E is existential, or existential kind of crisis. And the D is depression. So, so boredom, I mean, that's a given. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. For me, that's a huge thing, and I tend to get bored relatively easily. You know, it's just drinking or, you know, being high really alleviates boredom. Even if you're not doing anything else that you normally otherwise wouldn't be while sober, like watching a movie, watching some shows, you know, but just the act of drinking can make that activity or anything much more entertaining, or at least alleviate a lot of that boredom. So that's, for me, a pretty big trigger that I try to be conscientious of and deal with as best as I can. I have been getting a lot better at it. I still, you know, especially like when I go through my blah states, and I guess that's more related to depression, but kind of ties in when I'm feeling anhedonic, I'm not interested in doing much. That can lead to boredom. So for me, I think just staying busy, having some activities that I can do, you know, like go out biking, exercising, going out walking. I've been practicing pretty good self-care. So just like minor, you know, like hygiene tasks, brushing your teeth, flossing, brushing your teeth, showering, shaving. Actually, speaking tangential, the gratitude thing too, I guess I didn't really say anything. I guess I'm grateful for the progress this week, and then I'm grateful too just the fact that I have a house, I have a shower, I can shave. I'm washing my sheets. I'll have clean sheets. So grateful for that. I wanted to talk about that, but I kind of forgot. But yeah, the boredom. So just having a list of activities to do on hand, or at least stuff that I'm mindful of. Watching YouTube videos, you know, video games, making these YouTube videos, you know, even just doing silly product reviews I did, you know, like a week or two ago. So yeah, that's a pretty big one for me. Definitely good to keep that aware of that. Excuse me. Have a little hydration. And then, so with excitement, you know, also that's pretty triggering at times if like I'm just like really ecstatic, and you know, whether that's like celebrating, like, hey, you know, I just got, you know, like a nice paycheck, or I had a great workout, it's nice and sunny outside, like I'm stoked, or, you know, I got a promotion, or, you know, I passed a test, any of that, it's like, let's drink, you know, let's celebrate, or just like I'm already excited, I'm already ecstatic. what can make that better or like raise that even more? Substances, like, so that's another one I have to be aware of too. I guess in terms of kind of mitigating for that, I think the kind of practicing gratitude, or being a little over a year into my recovery, I think just kind of coming to terms that I can enjoy the present moment. I guess utilizing mindfulness, I can enjoy that excitement. I don't have to add anything to it to make it any better. I could just be grateful for just the event and not have to have anything else. And I guess also just recognizing that it's never enough for me. Like, even if I were to drink or use, that's still, I'm going to anticipate, or I'm going to pine for even higher levels of excitement or enjoyment. So it's like, just being grateful for just that ecstatic state of mind, and not having that, recognizing that I don't need to make that any better. That's already great. So and I guess that's easier said than done. It takes practice. That's not just something like, oh, duh. That's just something that I've practiced over my time in this stretch of recovery. So yeah, that's a pretty big one. Hunger definitely is a pretty big trigger. That's also kind of self-explanatory. If you're hungry, that's a pretty basic physiological need. So your body's going to be kind of freaking out, not necessarily freaking out, but I guess more on edge and just being like wanting something. And there's a lot of substances that can satisfy that hunger. Even alcohol, like beer, fills you up. Stimulants you won't want to eat. Like hallucinogenics. I wouldn't say hallucinogenics. I wouldn't say those are as abusable, or hunger would be a trigger for those. But but just opioids, you might not have an appetite, or you might just not, you'll just be high and not care. So, and then of course too, if you're hungry, and if you're kind of consistently hungry, you're not feeding your body, so you're not giving yourself the, building blocks or the nutrition to have your body run optimally. And so your brain is going to look elsewhere for things to elevate your mood, or to kind of cope with that hunger and that sub-optimized state of mind. Anger, and then again, anxiety. Usually the HALT is just anger, but I lump anxiety in there as well. I guess for me too, because I don't tend to get angry. I do have feelings. I get feelings of frustration. Something doesn't go the way it planned, or I make a mistake. I might get frustrated at myself or the situation, but I tend to not get really angry. But anxious, yes, definitely anxious. And honestly, there's really nothing better for easing anxiety than alcohol, or other depressants like opioids, especially benzodiazepines. Those do a great job of alleviating anxiety. The benzos, that's typically what they're used for. So for that, I guess this is more for anxiety. I can't really speak to anger, but for anxiety, just managing that in terms of, I think mindfulness again kind of helps with that. Drawing yourself to the present moment, so that way you're not worrying about the future, or even not necessarily anxious about the past, but kind of having some shame or regrets that can kind of, I guess, lead to anxiety or something of a similar state. But just drawing yourself to now, so meditation, grounding techniques, focusing on your five senses, focused breathing, deep breathing. That way, yeah, again, your mind's not in the future worrying about stuff. Just, hey, let's focus on now. Exercise definitely helps with anxiety. For me personally, I feel like it is beneficial for other people as well. And it doesn't have to be rigorous exercise. I mean, it can be as simple as going out for a walk, like a 15-30 minute walk. Especially like you can implement like a mindful walk. So, going out and in addition to walking, just being like kind of, I guess, kind of focusing on your surroundings, maybe noticing the rustling of the trees, or, I guess if it's snowy, the crunch of the snow, just to bring yourself again to that, right now. And I think it works not just as kind of a treatment, or, well, yeah, I wouldn't say cure, a treatment for anxiety. It's kind of prophylactic for me. It is like a consistent exercise regimen. My anxiety tends to be lesser as a whole if I'm, working out regularly. So loneliness, that's definitely a huge one. I've kind of come to learn, for me, I've isolated. I'm really introverted. I tend to isolate, and that gets me into a lot of trouble. I think for multiple reasons. Being by yourself, it can be boring. I was gonna say it leads to the E, the second E, a little bit. I won't spoil it. But can be boring, and we're social creatures. So when we're isolated, especially for long periods of time, it really does have a detrimental effect on us. And again, substances are a way to cope with that. So, and then also, so not only that, but I think, having social connections and social support, in addition to, feeding your social nature, and allowing you to flourish, having a social support can help you stay accountable as well. If you're by yourself, it's a lot more difficult. At least in my experience, it's been a lot more difficult to hold myself accountable. Whereas, if I'm checking in with friends or hanging out with friends or family and checking in with them, talking with them, there's a lot more accountability there, especially if they're aware of your recovery and they are supportive of your recovery. Also, different groups like AA, NA, Smart Recovery, Recovery Dharma, that can also help with loneliness and that accountability. So that's a pretty big one. Tiredness, yeah, dude, definitely. Again, that's that physiological need, like similar to hunger, where it's just so important. So, just being tired, will trigger cravings for me, because, any source, pretty much a lot of substances, even opioids and like the lower doses, can be stimulating enough to where it can perk you up. But especially, with the stimulants, like cocaine or amphetamines, methamphetamines, just so many substances, like kratom, but so not only just kind of like that, brief bit of tiredness, but if it's sustained tiredness, again, your body's not running optimally, neither is your mind. So you're just going to be more predisposed towards just cravings and triggers. Sorry, I'm starting to get sleepy now. I'm losing my train of thought. This is I wasn't planning on going into these as much as I have. So please excuse me. But yeah, tiredness is a pretty, so, I guess, ways to mitigate that is to, practice sleep hygiene. I think is very helpful. I'm a big proponent of sleep hygiene. If you're not familiar with sleep hygiene, I really recommend looking it up. It's just, developing good habits to support, giving yourself healthy amounts of sleep, both in terms of, quantity and quality. Doing things such as turning off your lights, any sort of electronic digital screens a few hours before you want to go to bed, because that's going to stimulate, that's going to work against your circadian rhythm, because, your brain depends on darkness to be like, oh, okay, it's dark, time for sleep. Keeping your room at a cool temperature, not cold, but like a cooler temperature. Consistent wake and sleep and wake times, going to bed and waking up at the same time or roughly the same time. There's all sorts of different things for sleep hygiene. So I think that's really good to practice for tiredness in the bouts where, because still there's going to be nights where you just don't sleep. You just have insomnia. For me, I get restless and I can't sleep. So for that, I think what helps me the most is to recognize like, hey, okay, I'm tired. I might not be able to get everything I want to get done today, and that's okay. I don't have to get, everything done. Let's prioritize, like, what are some things that, like, I might, like, would really like to or need to get done. Like maybe going to an appointment, going to work. That's not something like, oh, I'm tired, I'm just not going to go to work. But it's like, laundry or going grocery shopping. It's like, okay, maybe I can do that tomorrow. That way I'm not so triggered to be like, oh man, I have all this stuff to do. I'm tired. Like, let's drink some beer, let's kind of get that, like I said, stimulation. And I know that's kind of counterintuitive. You're like, well, alcohol is a depressant. But for me, and I think others, it can have a stimulating effect. I mean, if you get that dopamine from alcohol or even opioids, it's like, yeah, especially like lower amounts of them. Like if you're gonna like, just if I were to like pound a fifth, then a fifth of alcohol, then yeah, no, I'm probably gonna pass out. But if I were to have a few beers, I would be perked up a bit. And so managing your expectations when tired for the day, I think that helps a lot. On those times where you are tired, there's nothing you could really do about it. I guess also practicing more natural ways of wakefulness. Again, exercise. I'm a big fan of cold showers. I'm sure there's other ways that nothing else kind of comes to mind. Maybe like a cup or two of coffee. Trying to be reasonable with your caffeine intake, because that can be problematic as well. I mean, that's a substance. People don't think of it that way. Well, some might, but it is. I mean, it's a psychoactive substance. Nicotine is. So yeah. Anyways, the second E, existential crisis. For me, that's a huge one. I don't know if this is as big of a problem or as prevalent for other people, based on my discussions with people. But for me, it's a huge one. For those that might not be aware of kind of existentialism, essentially, for me, it's like purpose in life, like a meaning of life. At times, I do struggle, even like when I'm doing well, I still do struggle with, just feeling like that life is meaningless. There's really no point. It's like, why am I waking up and getting out of bed and doing all this stuff just to go to bed and wake up and do it all over again? For me, that's also, it tied into my passive suicidal ideation, my thoughts of wishing to be dead. It's like, even if it's like, oh, I'm going to wake up and have a great day and do all these cool things. For me, I'm still fighting against the innate core of me that says, but still that takes effort. It's like, if I were to just not be alive, that I wouldn't have to exert effort. And I know that sounds like really sad or like really weird. But it's just, for me, like, that's just like a logical conclusion. Like, if you're dead, you don't have to like worry about being alive or worrying about, responsibilities. Oh shoot, my monitor. Sorry guys. Oh no, it's flickering. There we go. I hope my monitor doesn't go out. It's been flickering for a while. I've had it for years. Anyways, sorry. But it's just for me, I fight against that. So, one thing that I've strived for is finding some sort of purpose in life. Because otherwise it's like, what's the point? It's like, well, I guess if life is meaningless, then let's just try to, engage in as many, hedonistic activities as I can, substances, pornography, I don't know, whatever, eating a lot of food. Whereas now it's, I've recognized that life is, gonna have its ups and downs, and that doesn't necessarily relate to meaning of life, but there's gonna be challenging times, there's gonna be suffering, and that's okay. I mean, that's part of life, so that's not something for me that I need to avoid, especially with, the use of substances, but rather something to engage in and use as an opportunity for growth and for learning. Because that's also kind of tied into all that for me. Is it's like, well, if I'm just gonna wake up and like just struggle or like suffer or just have to expend any sort of effort, like why bother? But so I've been working on trying to find purpose in life. That's also why I like doing these videos, is hopefully this stuff is helpful to other people. Making topic videos like this about relapse prevention, or sharing some of my stories, doing the recovery coaching that I've been doing, helping others, just trying to be a good person in general. And, even if it's just a small thing of, positive interaction with a stranger, I mean, maybe that might make their day. I know it sounds very small, and it is, but, at least it's still something, because otherwise, yeah, for me, it's just like, well, what's the point? Whatever. I'm just going to drink myself into death. And that's what fed a lot of my nitrous oxide abuse too, is when I was caught up in that and I was manic and psychotic, I thought I was like participating in like this like huge thing, or like, just like the spiritual, like I won't go into it, but just something that I felt like was purposeful when it really wasn't. So, and then the last one, depression, that's also, I think, pretty self-explanatory. For me, having a diagnosis of major depressive disorder, I can get pretty depressed. When that's the case, substances are another great way, similar to anxiety, a great way to alleviate a lot of those symptoms. If you're drunk enough or high enough, you're just, not going to be as depressed, or at least care about being depressed. Just ways to mitigate that, just practicing as best self-care as I can, participating in treatment, taking my medications, exercising, practicing mindfulness, engaging in social activities and interacting with people, supportive people, of course, maintaining a good diet or a better diet, taking, my vitamins and stuff like that, just everything I can. I know a lot of that's self-care, and I mentioned self-care, but I guess being more specific. Yeah, so I think I'm pretty satisfied with that explanation, with everything. And a lot of it's tied in together too. So, if you're feeling depressed, you're also going to probably be feeling tired. You might not have the energy to cook something or get food, so you might be hungry. So, or if you're hungry and tired on a constant basis, you're probably going to be more prone to depression. So a lot of those tie in together. And, again, I think it's just good to be aware of. And I was thinking too, I guess the catchphrase, because the one thing, with HALT, I guess, it'll halt triggers, but I guess for me, I was thinking like, by doing this, my triggers will be halted. I guess that's my little catchphrase. I'm proud of that. little jingle, I suppose. I'm saying that kind of facetiously, like I'm not. I just think I don't know. But yeah, I think it's just it covers a little bit more, at least for me personally. I'm not sure if this applies to you guys. You know, if it does, let me know, or if you guys think like have any other triggers, you know, please comment. I would love to hear what you guys think, or you know, your suggestions or your input. But yeah, I'm gonna call this video good. My laundry should be done soon. Oh, and I had a great dinner too. This evening I had some salmon with asparagus, some like garlic and ghee, which I guess is clarified butter, rice. Then I had tropical fruit Greek yogurt for dessert. And then eat a few of these bad boys, the Power Crunch bars I did the review on. These things are so freaking good. So I'll probably have this as like a snack. I'll probably have this in like another Greek yogurt or two. I know that's like some sugar, but still protein, and it's sweet. It satisfies my sweet tooth without, you know, like it being like ridiculously sugary or you know, just bad. Well, I shouldn't say bad for you per se. Like I think everything in moderation. But I would say this is better than like a candy bar or something like that. So yeah, so I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful for a great week, great day. I'm grateful that I, you know, kind of came prepared with the topic for this video. And again, yeah, if you like it or whatever, just please, I love reading your guys' comments. I really enjoy it a lot. If you do like it, please like it, like the video. If you're not subscribed, that helps a lot. You know, ideally it'd be cool to grow this channel, and I could do more topics like this and maybe reach more people and hopefully help more people. So yeah. Have a great night, guys. Today's Sunday, so have a good start to your week. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys next time.